The Clippers suck, and the 76ers won the trade.
Cancel it. That's the episode. Put it in the books.
We're good. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. No. Obviously, we are going to talk a little bit of the Clippers' probably overreactions. It's still really early on in the season and very early on in the Harden trade. But we are going to talk about that. And honestly, if we want to just jump into it right away, because I really feel like it's a super simple fix. One of the four has to move to the bench, and it probably has to be Harden. And you're fine. And everything's fine.
I don't entirely disagree, and it's funny because I feel like this was the big argument with Russ or the big concern about Russ, and yet all their net lineups with Russ have had a success here for a little bit. The most alarming part to me, as we're going to hear in warm-up jumpers, we are going to focus specifically on the Clippers elements of this first. The most concerning part to me is how about Paul George's numbers just going in the toilet since he came over? Like, they legitimately are cut in half in some situations.
And I'm telling you, that it has to do with the ball movement, right? Like, I think Paul George and Kawhi together on the court is an obvious gonna work. And then you have one of the ball-dominant guys in Harden and Westbrook. And then if you have two of the ball-dominant guys and those two, that's when the numbers seem to, like, it just makes sense for them to drop like that. So why wouldn't you just let it be Paul George, Kawhi, and Westbrook do their thing, interchange Westbrook and Harden, and then interchange Harden with the other guys when you got to take them out? And I feel like that works in my brain.
Oh, it's because he's the system, bro. You can't take the system out. You just got to adapt to it.
How did you feel about that rant?
I don't feel anything about that rant because I'm sitting here right now for once feeling peace in my Sixers fanhood and going, you know what? We were actually right about this. Harden, I mean, look, it's an extremely small sample size, obviously. We're talking about 4 games right now. But in those 4 games, Harden, the worst one was the one against Memphis, where this is a game where the Clippers lost by 4 points, and James Harden was a minus 28. Like, that is impressive almost. The field goal percentage hasn't been great, especially from beyond the arc. 1 of 7 against Memphis, 2 of 5 against Brooklyn, 2 of 4 against the Knicks. The game with the Knicks was probably his best overall since going, the first one.
Which is interesting, yeah.
But they've been a mess. I mean, every lineup that you look for has been worse that the Clippers since Harden's come in, more painfully to that fact, I think.
And
their rotations look sapped, like you said, and you knew part of that was going to be given up to get James Harden. And look, again, there is an adjustment period here. Harden said he needs 10 games to get into shape, which is comical to me because it was like, well, what were you doing the entire offseason? Like, I know you weren't playing with us, but it's like, that's not exactly going to inspire confidence, but it's been bad. Like, you're right. He stopped the ball. When the 3-point percentage or 3-pointers shot, I should say, isn't falling, like it does look really bad. The turnovers have been up big time. There's not much positive to take from it right now. Again, like I said, that minus 28 in a 4-point loss, and I don't even love plus minus like that as a stat, but that's alarming, Justin.
What was it that he said the Sixers wouldn't let him cook, wouldn't let him do his thing? He, even just from going to Philly to the Clippers, again, small sample size, but in 2022, 2023, he was averaging at least 14 and a half field goal attempts with Philly. With the Clippers, he's at 9 right now, like significantly less. He was at 7 3-pointers a game with Philly. He's at maybe 5 now. So if that's your problem, then you're going to be really pissed off because I don't see that changing at all.
No, I mean, his counting stats, just for some perspective, are 13.5 points, 4.3 assists, 5 rebounds a game. Like you said, as you mentioned too, even with his lows in Philly last year, he was still giving you 21 points a game and was among the league leader in the assists. Like, he just flat out was contributing more. I mean, NBA.com, the Clippers are minus 67 when he's on the court. They're plus 19 with him off the court. I don't really like find me an advanced stat, find me a counting stat, find me the eye test as just watching these games, and none of it looks good so far.
So, currently the over under for Harden tonight. So somebody listening to this already knows the results. For James Harden is 15.5. Would you bet the over or under on that? Because he has only done it once on the Clippers.
I feel like I'd bet the over. That is really low still. Like you feel like at some point he'll click into it, but
Right.
I mean, look, all the concerns that we have, like Harden is a complex player at this point. Like the burst is gone, but his 3-pointers last year were at a career high. He still can facilitate really well, but yeah, I mean, if you want him playing old school MVP James Harden ISO ball, like those days are just gone. And look, I mean, you thought because he would shoot the basketball that maybe the decline wouldn't be quite as harsh, but there also is the reality. Like, look, James Harden's in his low 30s now. Like, he might just be falling off and may not be that good anymore.
I'm gonna bet the under.
Listen, I appreciate a good
Bet the
hater bet
under.
once in a while.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right now. How much are we putting on it? $5?
You tell me. It's not my money. I'm not betting that. That's
Oh,
all up to you.
I have to make 2 selections. Let's
Uh,
do so Kawhi's over under is 22. Should I just go full hater and do under 22 and under 15?
Sure. I don't. I'm not good at betting basketball. Like I really am the wrong. For as much as I know about this sport, I really think that basketball is hard. Sincerely, like compared to other sports.
I like to do I just like to pick teams. Like, oh, I think this team will win, and then you parlay like 2 of them and do your thing. Basketball, let's see. Let's just see what Kawhi's at so far this season.
While you're looking that up, by the way,
21.5 points per games.
The Harden, Westbrook, Kawhi, Paul George, Zubac lineup is negative 19.5 and scoring 87.5 points per 100 possessions.
I bet the under.
Okay.
I bet the under on Kawhi and on James Harden.
All right. Well, you'll have to let us know how that goes next episode. I do want to pull the Clippers schedule up right now because they are 3-6.
Not a good one. Yeah.
Losers of 5 straight. They've got Denver, so of course that's a fun one. You've got Houston, you've got San Antonio back to back, you've got New Orleans, you've got Dallas, you've got Denver again. So, I mean, yeah, this schedule doesn't. I mean, in theory, with Houston and San Antonio, that's where you would think you would start to pick up some of these games, maybe against New Orleans. But it's like, then you got Dallas, you got Denver, you got Sacramento, who's got the Aaron Fox back, 2 with Golden State. Like,
that's tough. That's a gauntlet in a way.
Yeah, I mean, you fight and look, the Western Conference, we said this. There's going to be teams that rise. These play-in spots are going to be really competitive. And even just looking at it at the outlet right now, like you look off early starts, Houston looks better than I think people projected them to be. I mean, the Pelicans are right there in the mix. The Suns haven't really been healthy at all. So I don't know. They're, again, going to have to start stacking these up. It's extremely early in the season. I don't want to pronounce them dead or anything like that. But, like, look, Harden said, give me 10 games. He's had 4, and it's been pretty ugly. So you hope in the next 6 that he shows you at least some sort of life there.
Yeah, that's against the Mavericks, by the way, Saturday, November 25th. That's going to be game 10.
Okay.
Again, not a great, maybe should have, well, no, because the next game after that's Nuggets again.
Yeah.
So really, and then like you said, Kings, I mean, dude, we might hit game 10. They might go on a 3-game losing streak.
It's rough. It's bad times right now. And the thing is, because look, we know how all in the Clippers are on this team. There's just not really much you can do. You pretty much burnt all your draft capital.
Yeah.
A lot of your rotation guys are gone. Like you are at a point now where if you're not going to give up one of those 4 guys that we're talking about, I mean, Terrence Mann is a still promising young player. Like I mean, there's a reason that the Clippers tried so well and successfully did keep him. I don't know. It's tough. PJ Tucker is, again, I love what PJ brought to the Sixers. I'm not about to suddenly sound like a PJ Tucker hater, but like he is more of a postseason player at this point. Like when you're scrapping for regular season, like you want PJ Tucker to be elite defensively in the playoffs. Like the other reality with him is, I mean, he's 39 years old. Like he's not going to be, if you're counting on him to be giving you playoff level effort every single game at this point and giving you those heavy minutes in the rotation, you might be in trouble. And especially because I mean, he is pretty much a net negative on offense now at this point. Like once in a blue moon, he can pull him out, but like you're playing him for intangibles. You're not playing him to get a ton of buckets, you know?
Well, and I guess the positive for it, again, some of it has to do with when Harden wasn't there, but at least right now, the Clippers in general are a positive net rating. So there's a little bit of brightness in the dark right now. I do think they figured it out or figure it out. I just don't. I think the answer is moving Harden off the bench, and I don't know how that goes over. That conversation might not go well.
Well, somebody has to go to the bench, and that's the question: is who's it going to be? I think you're right. I think you push for Harden. I mean, I know you're trying to get him acclimated, but it's like, look, I've seen the success with Russ already. So,
yeah, well, and that's the thing is like, yeah, it's not going to be Paul George. It's not going to be Kawhi.
no,
So it's Westbrook or Harden.
They're the two best players
Right.
clearly on that roster
Right.
at this point. Like Westbrook and Harden are a step below them. I mean, maybe not, of course, not at their peak, but we're not at their peaks anymore.
Right. And I think, like you said, you've seen the success so far with Westbrook. And maybe it's an interchangeable thing. If all of a sudden Harden's doing crazy off the bench, okay, experiment with him being the starter. See if that works. You know what I mean? Like flip it between the two. Why is it got to be this is the permanent thing going forward? I don't think it has to be. So
no, I mean, hey, be the man. I mean, look, that's where Harden got his fame initially, coming off the bench for Oklahoma City. Like, that's what really spurred his career. Like, maybe that can allow it to be the resurgence. I mean, who knows? Either way, it definitely has to get better if they're going to do anything remotely in the Western Conference this year. Welcome, everybody, to the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Justin Cousart.
If we just ignore them, we can make other people lose sleep.
Oh man, I have not. Is there no greater context for that? Is there like an image attached or something?
No, this is just an inspo bot that puts up inspirational quotes.
So that's not an NBA player.
No, because I told you. Remember my well of NBA player tweets has dried up because they no longer post them on the website.
Wait, Elon totally tanked Twitter, so now we're going inspo bots?
Dude, listen, we got to bring AI into.
No, we don't.
Into the podcast.
I'm already out. I'm told you, I'm scared of AI. I've already seen what my friends got their hands on AI today. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to tell you what they've been doing with it, but like they need to.
I am curious.
It's going too far, man.
I am curious if you could. Again, I don't think you can do this. Because if I'm not mistaken, the AI, like they stay a month or two back on data that they're allowed to pull in.
Yeah.
But like, what if you were like, give me predictions of the NBA games each night, take into account all the stats? I wonder what their like success rate would be. Again, I know it's that at that point, just a numbers thing, but.
I mean, I'm sure they've had them run models. Like we've had computers simulations for years. I don't think that's anything new, but I'm sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
But if you could,
GPT could probably like predict an NBA season at this point.
But that's what I mean. Like, what if I said, okay, Clippers Nuggets are playing tonight. Take into account everybody's stats, like everything, all information from NBA.com. Take into account and predict what each player will do. Like, I wonder if it could get close.
I mean, I certainly think it would give you hopefully an educated guy. I don't know. I haven't messed around with it a ton, but
I don't. Yeah, every time I've done it,
ballpark.
Every time I've done it, it's always told me that it can't pull like recent data. It has to pull data that's like a year old or something. So I'm wondering if that's the case. But I know there's other ones that don't have to do that. So I'm sure there's somewhere. But either way,
yeah.
We have nixed the inspo bot. We'll go back to the drawing board for a new thing.
I'm just curious. Like I said, I don't care what you tweet. I'm just surprised it was an inspo bot of all things. I don't know what I expected, but not that. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. I mean, I guess in theory you could like leave a review via Chat GPT now as well. But if it's good, we're not really going to argue with it. Anyway, we'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And we are on YouTube. You can subscribe there, watch a video version of the podcast. Obviously, we dive into a lot of like Immaculate Grid type stuff. So you can join us there. You can subscribe there just like you would the podcast so you know when new episodes are coming out.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
So we did want to talk about a few different things, but I guess we'll start with the 76ers because there's a really good positive, and then there's a really good or bad negative, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So I guess we'll start with the negative because that's usually where I go in my life is
It's the
negative
opposite.
first.
It's the opposite of who's balling, who's falling. We're going to start with the bad before the good.
Yeah. Kelly
We'll
Oubre.
also talk about the that's where you go in your life a little bit later. That can be outside of the podcast
Yeah.
maybe for a little bit.
Maybe that's a therapy session we need to.
Yeah. We'll talk about that one off the mic. You got to be a special Patreons here to get those
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah. Inspirational messages with the Driving Dish NBA podcast. But either way, Kelly Oubre was in a I guess the word is not car accident because he was not in the car, but he was
No, he's
injured.
pedestrian. He was walking in
Yeah.
the middle of Philadelphia, and he got hit by a car. And people were calling it a car accident. It was a hit and
Yeah.
run. Whoever hit him took off. Like, I hope they catch this scumbag, not just because they hit Kelly Oubre. And again, thankfully, Kelly Oubre is okay. Broken ribs, a
Yeah.
few other like injuries related to that. He was in stable condition. Like, he got released from the hospital. He's going to miss like the next 6 to 8 weeks now, which is obviously the big deal. From an X's and O's perspective, and for a guy who has just really shown out this year. Like, Kelly Oubre has been one of the early bright spots and success stories this year.
And we literally just talked last episode about how he was essentially getting himself paid. Like, he was getting a payday.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and again, this is not a season-ending injury. He's going to be back, thankfully.
I think also last episode we talked about Chandler Parsons and his legal stuff.
Yeah,
maybe Oubre needs
his
to
career-ending car accident,
right.
basically. Yeah.
So maybe Oubre needs to talk to them. I'm not saying his is career-ending, but he could probably make a case that it cost him a decent chunk of cash if he doesn't get a deal.
Well, whoever did this, if they catch them, is going to get criminal prosecution. You can't hit like forget the civil law. The civil lawsuit will come, but like whoever's going to face charges, like you can't do that. There's a whole other podcast again we could talk about as well because I mean this was in the like I said, this is in the middle of Philadelphia. Like this is near City Hall. I think it was on Chestnut. For those who aren't familiar with actual Philadelphia geography, like it pretty much imagined the main square of your big city, and more or less that's where he got hit, kind of in the City Hall area. Like that is what the Times Square in New York City. I don't want to say the Rodeo Drive of LA. I don't feel like that's their main area, but you know what I'm saying? Like that type of deal. If it were Orlando, it'd be downtown by like Wall Street.
The town center of Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, it's not downtown because nobody's down there. So
right.
Although again, speaking of a whole other podcast that we could talk about.
Not to go too far off, dude. They had you already know they had a Jags game and it was terrible. They also had the fair going on at the same time, right next to the stadium.
Oh, so just no one could park that day then, huh?
No one could park there. Half the parking was already taken up by the fair, and then the fair was going on. Like, what a dumpster fire of traffic.
Yeah, I mean, again, downtown Jacksonville, the stadium is nice. Intuition right there is very nice. It's great if you're going to a game.
They opened a venue next to it too. The Intuition has a music hall. They've got more space now.
Well, did 1904 go down? So like they need something. I mean, they keep
Underbelly's still there, but again, that's not like by it. That's kind of more, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I digress. I mean, Chamblin's Book Mine is the best thing downtown, but again, we don't need to go there. But like one of the best bookstores of all time, if you're in Jacksonville, sincerely, for as much smacks I've talked about downtown. Tyrese Maxey, though, I'm not talking smack about because your boy had 50 points the other night against the Pacers, career high. And I mean, this isn't a season where he has broken out in them. So I mean, he already we knew the biggest part of the Sixers' future with Embiid, but I mean, he truly looks the part of a second star this year. I mean, frankly, he was giving you everything Harden gave you last year. I mean, not just the Pacers game, of course, 50 points, the one that stands out, but 29-11 against the Pistons in the in-season tourney, 25-5 against Boston in a win, 22-11 against the Wiz, 22-10 against the Suns. I mean, he's been phenomenal. Like there's no way around it. He's been everything they asked him more. He's been confident playing within the flow of the offense. The floater has really been falling this year. I mean, yeah, it has made you forget about. I mean, it's made you reevaluate everything. He's playing so well that there is a genuine question for me of, do you even need to go in for a third star? Like, fill out the rest of the roster, because I think you look at the way this looks right now, you've got a more than capable backup center behind Joel and Paul Reed. You've solved your wing problem with bringing in Batum and Covington, who are both giving you instant impact minutes. Like, the one thing to me that this Sixers team is still missing more than anything is another ball handler. Like, they just need a guard when Maxey's off the floor. But I don't know, just with the amount of money that they're going to have come off the books next year, with starting to restock that chest a little bit. Like, I know the Zach LaVine rumors have already started up, and that's something that we can talk about a little bit, because it'll be the Sixers. I do think are one of the teams that will be mentioned, but I think there are plenty others well.
Sure.
I mean, namely, Miami is the one that jumps off the page, maybe even Golden State if they really want to get wild with it. I don't know if they'd move Clay to do that, but again, we can maybe get back to that a little later. But either way, it is remarkable. I mean, again, I almost feel like a clown for talking this highly about the Sixers after, I mean, my adamant stance about them going into this year, but Nick Nurse has got them playing a good brand of basketball. And again, Maxey's ascension is the key here. Like, it really does make you reevaluate your future. And more importantly, on another note, it probably keeps Joel pretty happy for a while. Like, if you're on Embiid watch and you see Maxey break out like this, do you want to go Bolton play somewhere else? Like, you've already got your tailor-made second star there to begin with. There's not much else I can say. Like, he's the man off the court. Like, all the reports are that he's a gym rat. Like, Tyrese has always kind of been, with Sixers fans, our baby a little bit. But like, the kid looks special right now. And I know, again, the last three sentences, I probably have my Homer hat on a bit, but it's really been, in what's been a pretty miserable 2 or 3 years, to say the least. It's been nice to truly be excited about something like this.
Yeah, and like you said, like, just the team guy. I even saw, I think it was the TV station in Philly was with him as he was handing out like turkeys and stuff like that, like doing all the right things. What I will say, though, is last week when he was ranked 11th on that 2,525 list, we both were like, yeah, it's okay for him to be there. Are we ready to be like, he's got to move up?
I mean, I don't want to do that after a small sample size, but I mean, I'm trying to remember if it was Raptor or LeBron. It's one of those like advanced numbers that Hoops Hype does, but they were, I mean, the best 5 players in the season. One of them has been Maxey. Jokic has been 1, 2, and 3 has gone back and forth between Embiid and Luka, but like, Maxey's been right there behind him. And like you said, the Sixers sitting at 8-1 on top of the conference pending their game tonight. Like, again, the vibes are good, which is really incredible considering they couldn't have been much lower.
Yeah.
After that loss to Boston. I mean, that's from everybody. Like, they are starting to get a lot of it would take a massive effort to get, I think, most of the fans back in. But Tyrese is the type of player who I think will get fans to buy back in, because he's never one that they were low on to begin with. For all the things that have been wrong with the Sixers, I think Tyrese Maxey pretty universally has been the one thing other than Joel to be going right.
Well, and to that, like, the Sixers offensive rating, the top 3 in the league, right behind Dallas and the Pacers, surprisingly.
The Pacers are running. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
I mean, Hallie's playing great too. What a season he's had so far. But the Pacers are just trying to, like, they want to run wind sprints the entire game.
Yeah. And the Boston's the only team with a higher net rating than the Sixers. So and that's, they've got a decent chunk above Denver. Again, small sample size, but it's what we got to work with. And like you said, I think it's awesome that Maxey is coming into his own. It's kind of one of those things everyone who at least a Sixers fan thought could and would happen. So it's good to see that it actually is.
It's the best case scenario for just not this season, but the future. I think in what's been category 4 hurricane of emotions, I think this really has calmed the waves for a bit, which this franchise needed in a desperate way.
And this, Sixers owning the league best win streak right now with 8. So,
I mean,
we'll hopefully keep that going.
They lost opening night to Milwaukee, and that was it. I did mention Zach LaVine and I mean, I think we'll be talking about the Bulls a lot in the next few weeks, because I don't think it's just LaVine. Like, I think you look at DeRozan, you look at Vucevic. Like,
and that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, I get it. LaVine's going to be the one everyone talks about and potentially trading. And I think I would want the 76ers to make a play at him. But if not, who else would you be like, I think the Sixers could make a play at this guy and bring him on as maybe it's Embiid and Maxey 1 and 2, and then you do find that third scorer, and that's just what you live with. Because to in your opinion, if LaVine comes over, does he immediately become the number 2?
No, I think Maxey, the
You
way
think it's still
Maxey's
Maxey?
playing right now, I mean,
Yep.
I think it's interchangeable given every night.
Sure.
But I think they're 2 and 3 right there. But again, that's more of a credit to the way that Maxey's been playing, I
Right.
think, more than anything. I mean, the one player on the Bulls that I think is going to be intriguing to watch in all these trade discussions too is Alex Caruso. Like, I think Caruso's going to have a ton of value. I mean, even,
Yeah.
I can see the Sixers going after him.
Yep.
I think there's been a lot of internal buzz about Milwaukee, a team we're going to talk about a little bit later as a preview to Ballin and Fallin. In terms of them going after him, I mean, I think that's a pretty logical fit. Every contender is going to be is going to at least not just Caruso, but look at Chicago's roster and say, hey, because it feels
Is
like
it a
a
yard
complete
sale?
fire sale
Yeah.
right now.
Are we getting rid of everybody?
Yeah, I mean, even younger guys, like I think a Patrick Williams type may be available. Like I said, they are one of the more intriguing teams to watch in terms of blowing it up. Like I said, for LaVine suitors beyond the Sixers, specifically going back to him, I think Miami could get in the mix still. Like, I think they're obviously searching for that third piece after striking out on Dame. Like, I think they have all the assets there if they want to do something. I mean, he'd probably be cheaper than Dame too, to be honest. Again, the Warriors, interesting if they really want to kind of get weird. If you want to move on from Clay, it makes a lot of sense. I don't know that they're going to do that. That's a big culture shift there, obviously. But I think to me, that would make a lot of sense from the X's and O's perspective. I mean, I guess you could say the Lakers could get in on this too. Like they would have to blow up a lot of their depth. But I think if you want to, add a little bit more firepower to that top without LeBron being able to just be as consistent every single night, and with Anthony Davis as well. So I feel like there are teams that have better offers than the Lakers, but that's just me.
I think we talked about Clay's on-off stats last episode because I kind of remember bringing it up and it being like a -8 or something. After this week, it's moved even worse. It's a -9.9 when he's on the court per 100 possessions. So, yeah, I mean, we kind of alluded to it last week. You look at Clay's position percentage that they're having him do, and between last year and this year, it almost feels like they're blurring his position. Like they had him at small forward a lot last year, 71%. Now it's like 48% and 46 at shooting guard and 6% at power forward. Like they're starting to like try to. The other seasons weren't like that, I guess is what I'm getting at. And I think that shows they're trying to figure something out with him, and it's currently not working. And to your point, maybe they will consider, moving on from him.
Yeah, I mean, look, break it up is hard to do. How many songs are there about it? I saw a trade. I think Josh Eberle posted it, where it was the Warriors would move Clay and Kuminga, and I think it was like a first rounder for LaVine and Patrick Williams. And I thought that was intriguing if I'm a Warriors fan. But again, that's like you gotta have some stomach to pull that trade off. And so that's the big question, I guess, for me with the Warriors is, are they willing to do that just yet?
And I would say, obviously, this will happen. If you're going to do that, before anything is considered, you obviously make sure Draymond and Curry are on board, because the last thing you want to do is piss off everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my point. Is it's like you have to. That's a really big locker room shakeup. Like, and the Warriors are the type of team who obviously like they have the benefit of the doubt. Like they're not somebody that you can just go and say, you know what, you haven't won anything yet.
Right.
It's time to make a change. That's part of the business. It's like, no, that's again, franchise shifting decision. Even if I don't think it's wrong, like I'm with you. Like I would personally. Again, take the feelings out of that. I'm trying to move for LaVine every day of the week if I'm the Warriors, but that's much easier said than done when
Yeah,
you're
when it's a numbers thing, it's easy, but then you add in the history, the personnel, the yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
agree with you. I get it, so.
All right, who's balling, who's falling? Let's switch some gears a little bit. Our NBA version of the stock market, we always like to start with the good before the bad. So I'm going to start with Minnesota this week. They're balling. They're winners of 6 in a row. I did almost bring up Houston. They've won 6 in a row as well, but it just really clicking, especially defensively, I think right now for Minnesota. Holding Denver to 89 points, New Orleans to 101, Golden State to 110, which is kind of, but whatever. The point is, like, the roster is clicking right now. Like, you've got Rudy Gobert, who looks re-energized and is probably the front runner early on for the defensive player of the year candidate. Mike Conley has been the perfect vet for them since coming in. The big story, obviously, and it's something that we talked a little bit about last episode with the younger players, but is Anthony Edwards' continued
Mhm.
development. Like, he's a defensive menace and he's a great scorer, and it only just keeps getting better. He is the franchise guy there, but you add that, you've got Towns going, you've got Jaden McDaniels, continuing to look locked in defensively as well. And it's like, hey, this Minnesota team, again, one of the kind of weird stories last year that didn't get talked about is Denver said they had the most trouble with Minnesota in the playoffs. And Denver kind of steamrolled them, but Denver also kind of steamrolled everybody last year. I'll tell you what, if they're this good defensively, they are going to be a bit of a nightmare to play. And I think
Yeah.
you're already starting to see that a little bit.
Well, and to that, Anthony Edwards was named player of the week, in this past week, 31.3 points per game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, obviously 4-0 in the week. Joel Embiid was also named player of the week for the East, in case anybody wanted the continuity. And yeah, I mean, it's I think, like you said, that should be something that everybody considers, that Denver of all teams was like, they gave us trouble when it didn't feel like it gave them trouble. So now you got a team that's got more experience together. Like you said, more continuity. Anthony Edwards, who's confident now, who got even more experience, playing overseas over the summer. It's like, maybe we do see something crazy happen here.
Yeah, you're on to something more importantly. And
Yeah.
I just think, I mean, especially too from the Gobert front, I think even just contributing and being able to rewrite the narrative there a little bit, like I think will go a long way. And so far it's been, like I said, you first, as hard as we've been on that trade, you got to give credit where credit's due on the same hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. So my Ballin is going to go out to Coach Malone of the Denver Nuggets,
Yeah.
who is reportedly agreed to a contract extension. Woj tweeting that out, making him one of the highest paid coaches in the NBA. Obviously, he started in 15-16 and has a record that is 375 to 272 losses. That's 5 straight trips to the playoffs. What else is there to say, right? Like, of course, you pay the man. He deserves it. You guys just won 100%.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer. He's had success every year he's there. I mean, low-key, one of the longest tenured coaches now. I mean, he's nowhere
Yeah.
near Pop or Steve Kerr just yet, but he was super successful in Sacramento too. I mean, even going back
Yeah.
to his tenure before that. But yeah, you've got a team that looks to be contending here for the next few years. Mike Malone is beloved by the locker room. So yeah, this is a no-brainer. Hats off to coach. It's super well deserved to be one of the higher paid coaches in the league right now. I don't think you're going to find anybody who really disagrees with this and would say it's anything other than deserved.
No, I agree. And I think they've only ever had one first round exit in his time there, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the other stat that I had saved. So yeah, a big thing. And well deserved, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it just feels like he's always getting the most out of those guys. You know what I mean? Like, even I said I go back to the seasons too where there were injuries, when Jamal Murray missed time, and how he managed easing him back in, how he's managed Michael Porter Jr.'s career so far. Like, it deserves a lot of credit. And again, I think among the many reasons that make him a great coach. Fallen for me this week is Jay Crowder, who's got an ab tear that happened in Orlando on Saturday. Going to go undergo surgery, but he's set to be out for the next 8 weeks. That's a pretty big loss, obviously, for a Milwaukee team who defensively has been struggling early on to start the season. Like, I think that's been the big theme with them so far is they haven't really been able to defend anybody. And now you lose Jay Crowder, a guy who's going to be taking on some of your tougher matchups every single night. Certainly not the hit that they're looking to take right now. Again, especially like when you see Boston rolling, when you see Sixers rolling a little bit as well, like you don't want to focus on the record too much early. Obviously, this is a Milwaukee team that has championship aspirations this year, but I want to give them. There's always going to be a defensive adjustment period and benefit of the doubt as they work Dame Lillard in. We mentioned even with coaching change there a little bit too, with having to adjust to Adrian Griffin's system, but that will be the one key theme to watch around this Milwaukee team. And again, something that with Crowder out becomes a tougher task to me.
Yeah, and I also think, like you were kind of talking about, they're learning a whole new system in a way. And so him being injured and being out kind of, I guess, in a way delays that learning. I mean, the whole team's going to learn it, but then he's going to come in and you got to like kind of re-implement again. But again, if there's a team that I think is going to figure it out, I think they're going to, I feel like giving them the benefit of doubt is at least what we can do with them now.
Yeah, offensively, they have concerns too. I mean, namely, they just haven't really moved the ball that well. I think it's like Giannis and Dame have 74 assists on the season. I think they have 66 turnovers. So it's like that number is not going to cut it. So,
no,
but that again, I chalk more a little bit to an adjustment period. The defensively is the thing I think we're going to watch, and that may very well define the season.
Well, and like you said, it's been 10 games. So according to if Harden was there, we should be seeing it now. So.
You're not wrong.
My Fallin honestly should be Luka's mustache, but I'm going to pivot and dude, that thing is rough looking. I don't know if you've seen a picture of it. It's on like the NBA.com main page. Like when you go there, they're talking about the in-season tournament right now, and the pictures of him like shooting it with this mustache thing. Mine's actually going to go to the Knicks and Thibs because he's essentially moved down to a 9-man rotation already. You've got 9 guys averaging over 15 minutes a game. And then after that, it's like 3 minutes for the rest of their guys. So you're down to a 9-man rotation. We're 10 games into the season. I have a feeling we've been down this road again. Jalen Brunson's already played almost 400 minutes. Julius Randle's almost played 350. Mitchell Robinson, 296. Josh Hart, 285. And I know there's other players, like you go and look at the average minutes played right now per game, like Maxey's pretty high right now at 37. You got Kevin Durant pretty high at 36, but again, Devin Booker's out, so like he's having to pick up a little bit of load there. Anthony Davis is up there. So like, I get it. They're not playing like 39 minutes a game, but we're already at a 9-man rotation. And that's what concerns me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think their rotation's that much smaller than everybody else. I mean, they definitely it's Tibbs. You know what it is with Tibbs. Like, get your running sneakers on and get ready. Like, we talked about Indiana running a little bit earlier. Like Tibbs, they're going to be playing all the time too.
But
they've been great defensively, though. I will say Tibbs' defensive system is working. It looks pretty good right now.
I hope it doesn't happen, but I just worry like an injury would throw this all off. You know what I mean? And I know that's for most teams, but like, especially when the lineup's that tight.
I just think the Knicks, I mean, yeah, you're right with the lineup being that tight, but I don't know. They still look pretty, they're right there in that like second tier of the Eastern Conference to me. They look competitive.
I agree.
I mean, they gave Boston a pretty good run the other night. Tatum just took over in the fourth. Tatum was excellent that game. I don't know. I truly have to do more like research of how their minutes look to everybody else's compared to their starters. But I mean, yeah, it's always a trend to watch no matter what with Tibbs. Like your guys are going to be getting heavy minutes, and you're right. Obviously, you never hope that injuries are a factor in any of this.
Of course.
But on that note, we usually don't, we've usually been starting with it, but wanted to start with the actual hoops first this time. But we don't want to keep you waiting anymore. Let's get into Immaculate Grid. Again, if you are a podcast listener and want to watch Immaculate Grid, just search the Driving Dish NBA podcast on YouTube. But as we go through this week, our columns
Mm.
are from left to right. We've got the Brooklyn Nets, we've got the San Antonio Spurs, and we've got first round draft pick. And then our rows from top to bottom, we've got Milwaukee, we've got Houston, and we've got Orlando. You're already laughing about something, so I feel like
We
by
got
all
an
means,
Alfred Payton connection.
we do. Is it the Magic's first round pick? Yeah, I mean that. But so here's my only question with that, Justin.
Hmm.
The Sixers drafted him technically, and then traded him.
Draft night, right?
They did. They drafted him and they trade him immediately because that's the pick
Oh.
they got to draft Dario Saric. So, for the sake of the game, I don't know. Uh,
Or played at least one game with that team.
then then yes, if
Yeah,
that's the case, then Alfred Payton
I
would
think
want
we're
it.
good.
Yes.
I think we're
Oh,
good.
that's easy for everybody then. I thought it was going to have to be drafted by them. I think you're fine then. So just start it with Alfred Payton. And if not, we'll just get it out of the way and
That would be
be 8
so
for 9
annoying.
apparently.
Nope, it works. Point
Okay,
8, baby.
nice. Yeah. I mean, they should make it teams that you drafted because that category does get significantly easier if I go, man, first round picks. Like I think that gives us some leeway to go more obscure, but
Yeah, try to get a little crazy with it.
all right. So we'll come back to the first round picks. I'm doing some
I think if was Rudy Gay ever on Orlando?
No, Rudy Gay was not on Orlando, and I swear we got to stop using Rudy Gay. He hasn't played for that many teams. Like I know he's played for the Spurs, man. But like I swear we got to back off Rudy
Well,
Gay a
that's what I
little
was
bit.
saying. I was like, he's got to work for a lot of these. Oh my. Okay.
No, with the Spurs and with Orlando, I want to say I think Dwayne Dedman was in Orlando. I'm not ready to bet on that yet, but I feel like he
Ter-
was there. He was
was
definitely in San
Terrence
Antonio.
was Terrence Ross
I don't think he was
either
in San
Nets or
Antonio.
San Antonio?
No, I don't
I
think
just
so
know
for
he's been
either.
around. Okay. Nets, Orlando. Ooh, man. I'm drawing a blank on that one, to be honest
I
with
know,
you.
I am too, and I don't know why.
I feel like there's an easy connection. Like, Oladipo didn't end up there.
No.
Oh boy. Oladipo was on the Rockets, right? We would have had that connection, but they're not. Didn't he make it on the Rockets?
Was he?
I thought he was for a second.
I thought
I'm gonna look it up just because I thought it was like right after his injury before he ended up with the Pacers.
No, I thought he went straight from Orlando. Didn't he go from I thought he went from the Thunder to the
Houston.
Pacers. Oh, he was on
Houston, 20
Houston.
games in
Wow.
2020 to 2021.
Damn, good for you. I did not remember that.
I thought, but I had it wrong. It was after Indy. It was Houston, then Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, I had it wrong, but yeah.
The obvious one for Nets Bucks is Brook Lopez. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
straight up just everyone knows it. It's 100% right. If we can't get anything else, that will definitely work. For Spurs and Bucks, George Hill would work for that too. I feel like that'll be pretty.
So, yeah.
I do think that'll be a pretty high one. So I'm gonna try to think of something a little bit lower. But I do know George Hill would work for that. For first round draft picks, I mean, at this point, I'm just going for rare, I guess.
Yeah, and that's my is like, I mean, yeah. There's a lot of obvious answers.
Do Michael Carter Williams for the Bucks just for because like put hit the other half of the Alfred Payton trade. He definitely played for the Bucks a little bit. He was a first round pick, and I think he'll be super low.
Who you want? Who was it again?
Michael Carter Williams
On Bucks?
Yeah, for sure. I'm 100%.
Are you sure?
Yeah, MCW's been around, man.
But I thought he was on. Okay.
0.4, nice. All right, bro. I'm telling you, Michael Carter Williams been on a live team. That would work for Orlando too, low key.
You're right. Okay. Wow. Okay. So do we want to finish first rounders with Rockets?
Yeah, that feels right. I mean, they're franchise first rounders that are obvious. Yao Ming is probably their most famous draft pick.
That's who I was just thinking of too. Yeah.
other first rounders that have played, I mean, just recently, of course, Jalen Green,
Green.
and Thompson, who they took this year. You could do Cam Whitmore, who they also took this year. I
I
think that'd
bet
be
that would be low, right? You
it
think?
would, but they just did him last draft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I'm trying like what could we go 3 drafts ago?
I'm trying to think of like way back in the day of somebody that'll work.
Yeah.
Like, what about like Shane Battier? Shane Battier would work.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely was there for a while, and I'm pretty sure he's a first rounder. I think
Should we do it? Shane Larkin. Oh my gosh.
he was really good in college. He has to be a first rounder, right?
I think so.
I think so too.
All right. Yep. Wow.
0.2. Wow,
Point
nice.
2, dude.
He was a Duke.
Holy
That's what I
smokes.
mean. Like Shea Battier was good in college. He was on that team. It was Battier and Yao, and I'm pretty sure Artest was there.
Mm.
They had a weirdly like effective big three for a little bit. Like never went far in the playoffs, but I think they made a second round.
Okay. So for a reset with the podcast listeners, we still have to do our full connection for Nets with Bucks, Rockets, Orlando, and our full connection for Spurs with Buckets, Bucks, Rockets, and Orlando as well.
God, I should know Spurs in Orlando. I'm trying to think who's been there.
I feel like
I'm trying to remember if Mo was there recently, if Mo Wagner was there.
No, Garnett? No. He didn't make it on the Nets. I'm trying to think of the Paul Pierce.
Like the KG Paul Pierce trade with like Darren Williams and Joe Johnson and stuff.
Yeah, wasn't one of them a former Buck?
I don't
for the Nets.
think so.
Okay.
KG definitely didn't. Pierce didn't. I don't think D Will did.
No, you're right.
I'm trying to remember. Did McGrady ever play for? He played for San Antonio, right? Haven't we talked about this before?
McGrady
He never
played.
played a real game with them. That's right, because we got burnt by that
Yeah,
one.
didn't we look that up once? Yeah.
Yeah, I would have said that would have worked for San Antonio and Houston or Orlando. I would have gone Orlando because I think it might have been rarer there. Though, no, honestly, I don't know because like I don't know which tenure he's more affiliated with because he was still really good in Houston for a long time and like maybe arguably his best ball there. But like, man, everybody loved that Orlando T-Mac jersey. Like, I feel like that's a just NBA beyond the respective city classic jersey.
Did would Richard Jefferson work? I feel like I remember him in a Bucks jersey.
I do too. I think you're right. I know he definitely played for the Nets because he was on the finals team with the Nets back with Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin.
So maybe
he might have gone to the Bucks like right after the Nets. Actually, that feels right, Justin. I'm with you.
You want to try Richard Jefferson?
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good. It's definitely better than Brooke Lopez for sure. Just because I know it'll be rare, but
that's what I'm saying. Is at least Brooke Lopez we know is a guarantee.
No, he was. I feel he was there. I feel good about that.
Okay.
5%. Nice. 5%. Okay. That's crazy too because he was great on the Nets. Like I said, like he was. Yeah. They were going to the finals. They went back to back.
Hedo Turkoglu. Did he ever play on the Spurs? Because I know he was on Orlando. Because I remember from the 2K games.
Oh, I know he was on Orlando. Like that's a no-brainer. He was on. I don't think
I also
was on the
feel
Spurs.
Like I also feel like he definitely was on the Rockets, but I know we don't have that connection.
I think you might be on to something though with God, I just lost it. Channing Frye. Didn't Channing Frye play in Houston?
Channing Frye did play in Houston, right?
Actually,
I think so.
I know he played in Orlando.
Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon's been around a while.
That's what I'm saying. I know he's Rockets.
You know what? Maybe he don't play for Sacramento.
Did he?
No, that's where he started. And he was obviously his most famous ball was in Orlando.
Right. I definitely remember Orlando. I just don't remember the Spurs as much. I feel kind of like he might have been. Ugh.
I don't know. We've been good trusting your gut recently. I say go with it.
Hedo?
Yeah.
How's he even
Hedo.
Ed. Okay. Oh boy. Let's hope. Come on. Oh, 18% too.
Wow.
What?
Damn. Does he when was I gotta look that up. When was he there?
I didn't realize it was gonna be that high.
Oh wow, he's only there one season. Yeah, 04. He was there
There was
04 after he played 3 in Sacramento to start his career, and then he was in his 03-04. Turkoglu was in San Antonio, and then he went to Orlando where he spent the majority of the rest of his career. He was in Phoenix for a little bit. He played for the Clippers for a little bit, but yeah, obviously the most all rookie team in Sacramento, most improved player in 07-08. Owns a Turkish restaurant too now in Orlando. Fun fact.
Does he really? Oh, I want to go to that.
It's good. No, it's actually good.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah. It's called Bosporus.
I feel like there was a recent trade between the Rockets and Spurs that is on the tip of my tongue.
Well, they're division rivals, and so it's kind of like bothering me that
No. Oh wait, no. Never mind.
Oh, that was so confident though. What if it was right?
I was thinking but I think it's the Suns I'm thinking of. The guy, he didn't he come in for Ayton in the playoffs, but I thought he was on
Jock Landale.
Wasn't he on the Spurs before that? And then he just got traded to the Rockets.
Is Jock on the Rockets now?
I thought so. The Suns traded him.
They traded him. Why did I lose?
I'm pretty
no,
right?
You know what? I think you're right. I really think you're right. I forgot Jock got moved. I don't know why. I thought he was still in Phoenix, but you're right. He did get moved to Houston. You're 100% right.
It's probably going to be a high percentage because it just happened. But
yeah, but will it? It's Jock Landale. Like I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'm overestimating the nerds who play this game.
Should we do it?
No, you're right. It dawned on me. No, you're right. Yeah, all right. That's what I'm talking about.
What a pull. I don't know why I remember that guy. That dude stays in my head.
I don't know why I remember that he started his career in San Antonio and did remember that he got moved to Houston literally this offseason.
Well, that I knew the Rockets part. I knew it just happened because I was like, there definitely was just a trade between, but I guess it was the Suns. And so that, I don't know. Either way, we made the connection.
No, because he was in Phoenix. He definitely was in for last year in the playoffs. Like you're 100% right about that.
Okay, so we need Bucks. We said George Hill would work for this, right?
George Hill will definitely work for the Bucks and Spurs. I think it's going to be a high percentage, but that will 100% work.
Okay, so do we have any other options? For just to reset podcast wise, we still need Bucks, Spurs, we need Rockets, Nets, and we need Orlando Nets.
Oh, dude.
Did Darren Williams ever play for Orlando?
I don't think Darren Williams. I don't think he ever played for Orlando, but I think you mentioned that trade, and now that I think about it, dude,
Seth Curry
for
Rockets, isn't he on the Rockets right now? Because no, he's still with the Nets.
No, Seth's on Dallas.
On Dallas. Houston. Texas in general was just in my head. I was thinking of the fake thing that I sent you the other day of the video. I confused that with the Rockets. I just thought Texas.
No, he's back in Dallas.
You're right. You're right.
That was crazy. Like everybody thought Seth Curry was like sipping lean, and it was like, bro, he's just like some dude sitting in a Nissan. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, everyone's like, bro, Seth owns a Nissan. Like,
right. That not the fact that like he's never gotten any trouble. Not the fact that he like is super nice guy. It seems like on every account, it's the fact that he was in a Nissan.
Yeah.
And who did you say before that? You said who did you get to before Seth? There was another player we just mentioned.
Darren Williams?
No, I was talking. No, we talked about the Darren Williams trade. Dude, Joe Johnson played in Houston. Joe Johnson was definitely on Houston at the end of his career on one of those days. So we could get that for for Brooklyn and Houston. That I'm 100% about.
You want to do that?
Yeah, we talked about everybody in that trade except Joe Johnson.
That's the right Johnson, right? Yeah,
yes, that's definitely the right Joe. Yeah,
okay, just making sure.
100%.
1%. Damn.
All right. Yo, we are smoking this one
we are cooking today. Yeah. Hedo
Okay.
Turkoglu being our highest percentage is wild.
Yeah, that's how you knew we did well. All right. Bucks and Spurs and Nets and Magic.
Nets
I'm
and
really
Magic. So
disappointed
it's
in
not
myself that I
Terrence
don't have
Ross,
these.
right? No Terrence Ross.
No, I don't think he played for Brooklyn.
It's got to be a big man. It's definitely got to be a big man,
That's what
right?
I was thinking too. I mean, they've had so many players
That's a
recently.
problem.
Like Orlando's. I'm trying to think of 10-day guys too that they've cycled through.
Mm.
Man. And none of none of your typical Ish Smith doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to see who the Magic have had because I'm even thinking of the Biombos of the world and the Serge Ibaka's, and Ibaka was never in Brooklyn, was he?
Did wait, where did what's his name go? Not who am I thinking of?
I don't know what position.
Big man. He was supposed to be like the guy for us.
Who's us?
For Orlando. Sorry, for Orlando, and then he never really came through. And I thought they just recently traded him, but maybe they didn't trade him to Brooklyn. His name's not
Oh,
the Spur.
dude.
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Oh wait, did he play? I know he played for, and this is a super throwback. I can't believe I'm about to take this out of the archive. I don't think he played in. I was gonna say Jonathan Simmons. Jonathan Simmons works for, if it were San Antonio and Orlando, that actually would have got us a way lower one. I just thought of it than he do. But
What about
he didn't play for Brooklyn.
What about Vince Carter? Orlando, he played for.
Oh yeah.
Did he ever play for Brooklyn? Yeah, he
no, he
played for
definitely
Brooklyn.
played. He definitely played for Brooklyn. That's where he went after Toronto. Yeah, wait, no, he definitely played for Brooklyn.
So he
okay.
That's a guarantee.
100%.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no question about it.
Yeah. Okay, Vince Carter. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just do that. That's gonna be the highest one though, probably.
I think it might be too, but whatever.
Okay. Yeah, 68.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I get it. He was. I mean, that was after Toronto. His first initial trade off the Raptors was to Brooklyn. I mean, they were Jersey still at the time, but
that one held us up. So I'm gonna look up the rest, see who we got on this one.
God, I want to, man, Jonathan Simmons would have been so much lower than Hedo Turkoglu. I'm kind of bummed I just thought of that. I mean, we can close it we're near on the hour mark of the show.
Yeah.
So I do want to keep that in mind. I want to always try to keep us around our mark with Grid.
So
George Hill could close it, but I do want to get somebody better. We're so close.
So for Brooklyn, Orlando connections, Jeff Green would have worked. Ryan Anderson would have worked. Shabazz Napier would have worked.
Okay.
Courtney Lee, Ryan Anderson. I think I already said Ryan Anderson. Vince Carter. Trying to see if any other names kind of stick out, but really that's it after that.
God, Jeff Green never played for the Bucks too, did he?
Did he? I don't know. Did he?
No, I don't think so. That would have been a guy that definitely worked.
Darnell Armstrong would have worked for this too.
Did what's his name? He came up the other week. Did Dougie McBuckets ever play for the Bucks?
Doug was definite. No, am I getting him confused with? I'm getting him confused with what's his name. Where did he go?
What other white guy? Pat Connaughton, DiVincenzo.
No. Who? You might be. You might be right though, Doug.
I know he played for San Antonio. I am not confident enough that he played for the Bucks. Huntington, I think, only has played in Portland and Milwaukee.
Oh, you know who? I feel like we bring him up all the time. LaMarcus Aldridge, wouldn't he work here?
No, he played for the he didn't play for the Bucks, did he?
I thought he did for the
he played for Brooklyn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Milwaukee. No, he definitely played for San Antonio. There's no doubt about that.
That's where I'm at. I just keep thinking San Antonio, and then I keep forgetting to add the second team in.
God, it's such a cop out, but I don't have anybody better than George Hill right now. I'm really trying to
we got 30 seconds until we gotta pivot. And
yeah, like
oh, you know what? Paul Gasol was on the Bucks for a
was he?
little bit there. Yeah,
Oh, I think you're right. I know he's on San Antonio.
that's what I mean. I'm almost positive. I'm
You
almost
know what?
positive he was
Yeah.
there
Yeah, I think you're
at
right.
one point.
I think his last season was there, or one of his last seasons was there. I know he was on San Antonio for a fact, and if you're right, if you feel good about Milwaukee, I'm okay. It'll be lower than George Hill, so I'm
I
fine
don't
with it.
I don't I don't feel good about it. Uh,
No, but that sounds right.
I do remember there being a Paul Gasol trade at one point that I thought was from the Spurs to the Bucks.
It would make sense. I mean, it was Memphis and the Lakers, and then he was at the Bulls for a year or two. I don't remember what the order was with Bulls and Spurs, but he was definitely on both of them. And then, yeah, I feel like it might have gone. It was either Chicago to Milwaukee or San Antonio to Milwaukee. But
Oh,
I think you're
yeah.
right, Just, and it's definitely lower than George Hill. So
Oh, but if we get it wrong, I'm gonna be so upset.
yeah, but like you got to trust yourself, dude. We've been trusting your judgment on these last few like for 5 weeks, and 1 week that's going to burn us. But I don't
It's
think it's
gonna
going to be
burn it.
this week. You got to lock it in.
All right, locking it in. Bam. Oh,
All
yes, that's right.
right. All
105
right.
rarity score,
All right. Well,
baby.
let's see. Yeah, that was really good all around. So I'm gonna run down. If you want to scroll down, George Hill would have been the highest for that. So our highest for I love how
Oh,
they can't
James
even fit
Harden
Giannis.
was net. We didn't even name him.
Oh, that was silly. You're right. We didn't even name that. So the highest for everybody. So for Nets and Bucks, it was Brook Lopez. For Bucks and Spurs, it was George Hill. For first round draft picks and
Giannis.
Bucks, it was Giannis.
Makes sense.
For Rockets and Nets, it was James Harden. For Rockets and Spurs, Robert Ory.
Oh, we
We've
didn't even
used him
mention
before. It's a
him.
good one.
Yeah.
And then for Rockets first round pick, Hakeem Olajuwon. For Magic first round pick, it was actually Shaq first. So wow, look at Shaq with the staying power. Tracy McGrady would work for the Spurs. That is good to know for the future because
Yeah.
I did have that in my mind. But yeah,
Yeah.
Tracy McGrady for Spurs and Magic, and Vince Carter, who we had for Nets and Rockets. Powell did go to Powell went to Milwaukee last. I'm pulling it up right now after San
Okay.
Antonio. And then so can we
Wild.
X off? Do we want to just run it one more time? Or I just want to recap one final
Oh,
time
yeah.
for our listeners as we get out of here. Our winning grid 9 for 9. We had Richard Jefferson for Bucks and Nets. We had Pau Gasol for Bucks and Spurs. We had Michael Carter Williams for Bucks first round pick. Shane Battier for Rockets first round pick, Jock Landale for Rockets and Spurs, Joe Johnson for Rockets and Nets, Vince Carter for Magic and Nets, Hedo Turkoglu for Magic and Spurs, and Elfrid Payton, Justin's boy, for Magic and first round
Listen,
draft
it's
pick.
an expectation at this point. If Elfrid Payton can work in one of these things, I gotta get him in there.
It's always going to be low, so I agree with you. You're not going to have any resistance there from me. No offense to Alfred. Come on the podcast, please. Honestly, I feel like that would be the ultimate full circle moment.
That'd be great.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. We appreciate you guys as always. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast.
And like we said, we are always on YouTube. You can find us there. Just search Drive and Dish NBA. You can watch a video version of the podcast. Obviously, the Immaculate Grid, a little bit of visual there, so we pull it up for you. Just search Drive and Dish NBA, and you can subscribe.